Is there a team in college football that's been more jinxed when it comes to the injury bug than Oklahoma? I can't think of one. I mean, think about it. I mean, Sam Bradford and Jermaine Gresham a couple of years ago. I mean, after his freshman year, Adrian Peterson kept getting hurt, and then Jason White had 2 major injuries. Lance Mitchell had major injury. And then this year with Dominic Whaley, and then what happened today. And if you didn't watch the OU A&M game and you're trying to judge my body language, you might have thought initially that the Sooners lost, and that couldn't be any further from the truth. They did win 41-25 over A&M. At one point, OU was up 41-10. Yeah, that's what we should largely be talking about. And of course, the Barry Switzer statue was unveiled today. That's been a long time coming for one of the greatest college coaches ever. So that was good that Switzer statue was finally put on display. But it's almost impossible to talk about those things and not mention the big news, which was the greatest receiver Oklahoma's ever had, not even a debate. The records that he set, both school-wise, Big 12-wise, and of course NCAA-wise, most receptions by any one player in the history of college football. That's Ryan Broyles, and these past 4 years have been a joy to watch him. Thank you, Ryan, for everything that you've done for Oklahoma. And next time we'll be seeing you will be in the NFL on Sundays, and you know, whoever you play for in the NFL, well, they're going to be one lucky team. Now, trying to make that difficult transition. By the way, if you didn't hear, he did tear his ACL, and surgery will probably be in a couple of weeks. Looks like once that swelling goes down, which we're saying should be, you know, right before Thanksgiving, he can rehabilitate, maybe get ready for the combines fully by then, which is early next year. Now, talking about the game itself, and this game definitely after halftime, I was thinking to myself, this game is not going the way we thought it would go, because we thought this was going to be a high-scoring first half. Both teams we know are known for their offenses, but it was only 13-10 by halftime. Both teams had to deal with a very feisty wind, 20 to 25 miles per hour. When it was gusting, though, it was about 40. And you had to really feel for both Ryan Tannehill and Landry Jones, the quarterbacks, because they had to deal with this wind throughout, throwing the ball, especially when they were trying to throw it deep. It didn't matter if they were going with the wind or against it. It wasn't easy. And part of the time, too, when they did get the ball to the receivers, we saw a lot of drop passes by both teams as well. But no question, the second half is what people are going to be talking about, the third quarter, where OU, just like they did last week against Kansas State, played marvelous. Last week outscoring the Wildcats 21-0 in the third. Today outscoring A&M 28-0 in the third with about 5 minutes to go. It went from being a 3-point game to a 31-point game within the blink of an eye. For the most part, the game was played on one side of the field, and it helped for Oklahoma to have that wind at their back in the third quarter. They had to take advantage of it, and certainly they did that. For the Sooners, it was good to see Roy Finch again do a terrific job. He got over 20 carries today. Had to earn every single yard against an A&M team that's not easy to run the ball against. And we saw the Sooners also display a lot more of Blake Bell, the Belldozer, as at the tight formation that they call. And Bell, when he ran the ball in those third and short situations or goal line situations, definitely took advantage and got a couple touchdowns today, got some conversions as well. So expect to see more of that formation when they need that short yardage on third down, maybe even fourth down. Defensively, I thought the Sooners were terrific. And we're going to talk about more of that in the 4 keys of the game. You're going to give up some against A&M, but the main thing is to not let them have their way. Last year they scored 33 on the Sooners. And I know today A&M got 25, but some of those points, it didn't matter because the game was already decided by the time A&M got those points. But talking about the defense, again, Ronell Lewis was terrific. You look at Frank Alexander, another solid game for him. And it felt good to have Jamel Fleming back at his corner spot. He got an interception today, as did Javon Harris. Now, let's go ahead and highlight the 4 keys of the game that I did talk about in the weekly matchup show. Number 1, bending is one thing, breaking is another. Talking about the Sooner defense and how you might give up some, but don't give up a bunch. An A for Oklahoma. There were a couple of times where Christian Michael, the terrific A&M running back, had some big runs, but I thought Oklahoma did a good job containing him. And then Ryan Tannehill was not a good day for him at all, decision making. And if he made bad decisions, the Sooners made him pay for it. And even though the offense struggled in the first half for Oklahoma, I thought other than that big pass play that A&M got in that first half, the Sooner defense held their own, and at least Oklahoma went into the locker room with the lead. Key number 2, protection, Landry Jones. I'll go B in this category. You have to remember the Aggies were throwing blitz packages, corner blitzes, linebacker blitzes, and a time or two they did get to Landry Jones. But that being said, you have to remember A&M is one of the best teams in the country when it comes to rushing the passer. So I thought the OU offensive line did an adequate job in this category, especially in the second half where the Sooners pulled away. Key number 3, special teams progression, an A for the Sooners. Made a couple of field goals, did Michael Honeycutt, and it also helped that A&M missed a couple of field goals. Both of those were against the wind. I thought the Sooner kick coverage was terrific, and again the Sooners took advantage of the wind in the third quarter. And then key number 4, second half, take advantage, another A for the Sooners. You might have watched my weekly matchup show, and I mentioned that I thought A&M would not be able to compete in the second half because I thought they would tire physically. They didn't hang in the second half, but it wasn't because of the fact that they tired. I thought it was the fact that Oklahoma's defense had a lot to do with it. I thought this was more of the way Oklahoma played rather of the things that A&M didn't do right. Granted, A&M made mistakes, but I thought it was Oklahoma's superior play in that third quarter that made the difference. So I will go A as far as that goes. So a terrific day for Oklahoma as far as what they did against A&M. Of course, the Ryan Broyles injury seems to overshadow just about everything. And now you have to ask yourself, if you're a Sooner fan, where do the Sooners go from here? You have 3 games left. You have a bye week this upcoming week before you play Baylor in Waco on the 19th. Obviously, this means that other players must step up. That's the most obvious thing. And you have to hope that those players stay healthy. Kenny Stills averages about 100 yards receiving a game, but he's had injury issues today. Had to have the hammy massage because that's been giving him problems. And then Jazz Reynolds, he's been stepping up lately, made another one-handed catch today. He's really improving. And then DeJuan Miller, the senior, they're going to have to count on his leadership. And then you're going to have to use the tight ends even more with James Hanna. The big thing for Oklahoma, for the receivers, stay healthy, reduce those drops because they had several today, and then also prevent the fumbles. Hanna had a fumble on that opening drive. Sooners move to 8-1 on the season, and for A&M, their disappointing season continues. They lose their 4th game of the year. Final score again, 41-25. The Sooners get the win, and again, no game next week, so obviously no weekly matchup show for next week. Our next weekly matchup show will be either a week from Monday or a week from Tuesday, so check back with us on this very web page. And we will see how the Sooners deal with the loss of their very talented receiver, greatest receiver they've ever had in the form of Ryan Broyles. That's it for now. Boomer Sooner.